Welcome to Build in Public, the podcast where industry leaders pull back the curtain on how they actually built it. The hard calls, the pivots, the moments AI changed everything, and the lessons they wish they'd known sooner. I'm your host, Troy Mann. Each episode, we go deep with founders, operators, and innovators who are growing businesses in a world that's moving faster than ever. No polished narratives, no highlight reels, just real conversations about the journey. Let's build. Today we're joined by Dr. Badri Varadarajan, founder and CEO of Hitwit AI. Badri has spent his career at the intersection of deep technology, product innovation, and human learning. With more than 60 patents, decades of R&D leadership, and experience building technologies that generate millions of dollars in revenue, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, he's now focused on one of the biggest problems facing modern organizations. How do you scale expertise? Through Hitwit AI, Badri is helping companies transform product knowledge, onboarding, customer support, and partner enablement using AI-powered learning and conversational systems. His work explores a fascinating challenge emerging in the AI era. Not just how do you make organizations more productive, but how to make them more thoughtful, more informed, and better at transferring knowledge across teams and customer interactions. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here, Troy. Look forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so Badri, you've worked across both R&D, deep R&D, and AI product development. What problems are companies fundamentally underestimating right now?
I think the problem that companies seem to be underestimating today, and we can somewhat see it in the AI adoption data, is just how hard it is to fight cognitive offloading. So AI systems today are in that sort of, maybe the analogy I'll give is driving. If you're driving by yourself, you're driving by yourself. If there is total self-driving, there's total self-driving. But when you're in that middle state, that does make it very hard for you because you need to know enough driving to be able to take over and in fact do the hard things. But you also want to be offloading the driving because, hey, that's what the convenience is there for. And that's actually super hard cognitively. Like you can't, that's why people still have to take driving lessons and tests. Take that to an AI, take that to an enterprise, and specifically to the part that we work on, which is the go-to-market functions. If you're going to sell a product, either as a seller or a solution engineer, automations can help you a lot of the way. I mean, we've all got AI slop in our inboxes right now. But to actually close a sale, you need to actually fairly deeply understand both what the product does, what the customer's pain points are, and how you stack up competitively in the market. AI can maybe give you some talking points, but you still need to deeply understand that. And that is quite challenging. So companies seem to be sort of saying, oh, we'll adopt some AI technologies and magically productivity will improve. And actually it won't, because the ability for people to understand what these tools are giving them and use them effectively is something we're going to have to, that muscle is going to have to get built in individuals, in teams, and in management. So that's sort of, I think, the problem that's being underestimated.
Is that the reason there's such a challenge with knowledge transfer and producing a major operational challenge with AI?
I would say so. I'd say there are probably two parts of that challenge. One is at the individual level, how does somebody know how to adopt tools effectively? The other thing is that there is also the organizational change that's needed, because in the age of AI, I think we are in the optimal organization, I think, has folks who can cut across what used to be different functions. And organizations need to sort of fundamentally change to adopt that. By which what I'm getting at is, we went through, if you will, about 150 to 200 years of specialization, right? There's this whole thing about, I mean, what happens on a car factory floor. You do one thing. If you're not even assembling a door, you're putting one little thing inside a door, and that's what you do time after time, because you get really good at that. You become really fast, and the person next to you does the next thing, and the thing moves really fast. Now, I think what these AI tools let you do, since they're able to automate lots of different tasks, but not the whole workflow, is that I think the optimal organization really involves one person who goes through an entire workflow. By which I mean, there is somebody who's able to both do a demo and be an effective salesperson, as opposed to you silo this and say there is somebody who's only a solution architect and there's somebody who's only a sales rep. We'll get into that in a little bit as to how I got to this problem. But I think that's two parts of the challenge. It was a bit of a long-winded answer, but really, I would say individual adoption and organizational change are both needed in AI adoption in the workforce.
So I'd say the past 5 years or so, there's been this brain drain that boomers are retiring. You've got the gig economy where people are going in a different direction from traditional jobs. And now you layer on top of that AI. So when you put all that together, when companies have expertise trapped in a few employees, which is a very common issue, how does tribal knowledge get institutionalized in today's market?
It's a good question, and I think you hit the nail on the head that there is also generational change that's happening today. Um, I would say in the teams that I've worked with, which have been high functioning teams, that idea of knowledge transfer, knowledge sharing gets foregrounded. It's not something that you do on the side. You sort of build specific processes for that, as in might not show up as so many lines of code shipped or this feature developed or this particular account activity done. It's basically something that you spend time on just to ensure that you get the right skills and the right level of knowledge. And in the teams that don't, you see a lot of organizational chaos. I'll give you sort of a story here. So I used to be CTO at a private equity company, and we were quite acquisitive in the sense that we'd go and acquire lots of these different companies. The first thing we did when we acquired that company was to write a 20 to 30 page document describing, we call that a technical teardown. We would basically describe what's the core value of the product and what are the technical choices that got made. Because part of that was we had to sort of own and operate the product ourselves. We had to deeply understand what those technical choices are. And we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we get that knowledge transfer working in such a way that somebody else 6 months from now could read that document, understand what the product does, and say, hey, here is the strategy we want to adopt to evolve this product going forward. And when we were doing that, we saw sort of both sides of this. Right? We were spending a lot of time getting this process fine-tuned. When we acquired companies, we talked to those folks, and really, people didn't know what was going on around them. The engineering team had sort of no clue what the operational problems were, and the operational teams are like, I don't know why this does what this does. That's the way it is, right? So people were not talking to each other, and so on. I would say I've seen the gamut here of good and bad in knowledge management.
It's a great segue. What operational bottlenecks do companies normalize because they've lived with them for so long? Maybe too long.
It's a great question. I would say in general, most companies are pretty good at doing things inside two pizza teams. So you build an engineering team, let's say it's 5 to 10 people, you get there, maybe even larger than that. Generally, companies now have sort of said managers don't manage more than, first, line managers don't do more than 10, 15 people, right? That unit generally operates well. At least you would hope so. If you've done your basic job of recruiting people and promoting correctly, then line managers are reasonably good at managing that. That interface, when it goes from one team to the next, is all manner of awful. And that's sometimes it's for just personal reasons, managers don't get along, but most often it is because they lack context on why. So they define these interfaces, and everybody is very religious about my team delivers this. Let's take, for example, there's QA and there is engineering. And they're pretty good in a well-run company about saying, this is the interface, this is our test document, and this is how you will report bugs, this is how we'll report features, all that sort of stuff. But what I think gets missed there is that they don't understand why each team did what it did. They only sort of see the output of the interface and not sort of the reasoning behind. And knowing that would actually dramatically help you. If a QA team knew why a particular product, why a particular thing did what it's supposed to do, they'd catch more high quality bugs, because they're, instead of just looking at the engineering test cases, they'd sort of look at what is the promise that sales and marketing are making to the customer. And is this even coming close, right? So they'd ask that sort of higher level question. So I would say that's a good one. I'm talking about high quality problems and not things people are just incompetent or they don't get along with each other and they're fighting political turf wars. Leave all that aside. In a well functioning machine, you would still have this problem. because to your point, you're not getting a deep enough insight into why people are doing what they're doing.
Point. So there's a lot of economic challenges, uncertainty in today's marketplace. Where do you see Hitwit in 12 months, and what are the biggest challenges to getting where you want to go?
That's such a great question. Let me talk about what we do, and then that'll give you a little bit of background to that. So the problem that we are solving for the most part today is, let's say, companies, fintech companies, they get beyond $10 million in revenue. They've sort of reached the limit on the slope on how much revenue they can get per seller. Beyond that point, if they have to grow their revenue fast, they partner with people. Let me give you the most common example. Many of our customers are cybersecurity companies. You build a cybersecurity product. For an end customer to use it, they need not only your product, but also management service around it. Specifically because, let's say your product creates alerts on some suspicious activity. A small firm is not going to be able to do anything with those alerts. What they need is some IT shop that sort of looks at those alerts and says, because of this, I need to deactivate your access or lock you out or unlock somebody. The cybersecurity company would create a partner program. And now their growth depends on getting somebody else to understand and sell their product, among other products that they're selling. So what we do is we help those partner companies develop a deep understanding of both what a product does, how to operate it, and how to sell it. How do you talk to a customer about the value prop of this? What else is the customer looking for? How do you sort of build a solution around this so that you meet customers' needs? That's what we do. So we help partner programs become more efficient and effectively shorten the sales cycle by being able to serve customers faster, cheaper, faster, better. So that's what we do. And what do we see? Where do we see 12 to 24 months from now? Our success will depend on whether partners are able to level up their game. I'll sort of the segue into something else, which is, if you look at sort of what AI has helped so far, it has generally helped. I mean, obviously, it has helped the companies that build foundation models and infrastructure, but product companies have become really good too. Particularly in the last 4 or 5 months, it's become so much easier to ship code. That means you're sort of shipping more features. I mean, we see it in our own world. But solution companies, interestingly, have, if anything, suffered. I mean, you've heard a lot about how Accenture is struggling and all the big consulting firms are struggling, and distributors and just channel partners in general are they're struggling both in terms of how the market perceives their value and in terms of keeping up with the higher velocity coming upstream. I mean, I speak to some distributors and they'll tell me that, okay, there used to be 200 cybersecurity companies. Now there are 3,000. There used to be 500 cybersecurity products. Now there are 6,000. And what am I going to do? I mean, I can hire more people if I want, but then those are all cognitively limited to one product. As long as they are, then basically margins suck. Basically, every time you bring on a new vendor, you're having to hire somebody and attach them to that vendor. So you're not growing fast enough. For us, success would mean that we are able to help these folks in the middle become more productive, more insightful. Meaning you can go to a distributor, a channel partner, or a systems integrator and say, here's my problem. And everybody, not just their top person, but everybody in their team is able to say, look, given that this is your problem, these are the 5 products that you need in your suite, and here is how they come together, and we will build this for you, and we'll deploy this for you and manage this for you. If that happens, that would be great, because we succeeded in the mission we set out to succeed. I mean, our whole mission was to make expertise more deeply available in organizations. But that also means all these partners will go to their vendors and say, hey, you need to use technologies to enable us, because if not, we're just going to pick somebody else's solution every time. We're going to recommend that every single.
You touched on something earlier about companies having the knowledge and the infrastructure or bandwidth to leverage some of the tools that are being sold. And the conversations I'm having tends to reflect that companies are overwhelmed. There's limited to no bandwidth, and even the best solution for them, they can't seem to break away from working on things that may not be moving the business and turn towards something that may be beneficial. It requires we'll do it for you scenario versus a
Right.
here's a solution. Given what you do and what your value is, how are you educating the market on hit with AI and marketing your value proposition in a way that resonates and drives action?
It's a good question. Starting by, I mean, we appear on a podcast like this, talk to smart people like you. But other than that, in our sector, we are sort of doing this is, I would say, twofold. Part of what we're having to do right now is reinvent a term or make people rethink what it means to run a partner program. And I think this is indicative of every other company there is right now. Is there are places where AI technology has become so good that in order for you to for a customer to get value out of it, they're having to rethink the boundaries of what they were doing. So let me sort of tell you what that means in our world. 2 years back, if you're launching a partner program, you were all the time worried about, so I need to go hire a bunch of channel account managers because all my partners need babysitting. And a channel account manager can only do so much. And they're not typically technical people. So if there is something that involves enablement, then I need to run separate webinars and then invite people to do deep dive sessions. And the art of the possible now is not how you should be thinking about this. You should be thinking about not gatekeeping and making a high intensity adoption path for your partners, but rather say, hey, it's easy. Just you can get, all you need now is to be able to give an elevator pitch. When you are on a call with a customer, at that time, our AI agent will be there to help you. And that's a certain sort of mindset change on what is possible. That's something that we are doing mostly by walking our customers through their adoption path. So essentially what we do is, and this is probably has always been true a little bit of truly innovative companies, is that in the beginning you are packaging a bunch of adoption services along with your product. So that's just sort of the nature of it. But I think in the world of AI, that is even more true now. What I'm getting at is there are some products that take this and adopt it and you'll be fine. Basically, it's just automating a task. But product like ours, and indeed, I think most products now are really platforms. You need to not only give people the product, you need to teach them how to use it. There is a whole bunch of that we do with our customers is we say, we will review your organizational path and walk you through what it takes to adopt AI in your workflow.
It's a complex one. If a company or a leader is out there listening today and they have this epiphany and realize they have a knowledge bottleneck, what's the first step they should take?
Good question. They should do two things. One is, if you're adopting AI, you need to have a system 1 and system 2, just like the old Kahneman framework. To adopt AI, you need one, which is an exploratory AI framework where people are just doing free-form things. So they're exploring various different ideas. For that, just use Claude Enterprise or Gemini or whatever. Give people that thing, let them use it on their own. But once they've done that and they've got good content or good processes, now put it in system 2, basically automate that so that everybody in your company is doing, or in your team is doing the exact same thing. And at that point, you can sort of start building that AI adoption muscle better and better. What I'm getting at is there are lots of things that you can do with AI. And part of the problem is you're also building the car while you're driving it. There are a few things that you're changing in your process as well. So let people explore it. Don't overly constrain their exploration in the beginning, but pick the best ideas and then automate those. In our world, what we do is we tell customers, and this is sort of another thing that's interesting, is lots of people are just buying these tools across the enterprise. Oh, we'll build everything right now. The value for companies like ours really is we've seen 15, 20 of these workflows. We're seeing 20 different archetypes even within partner programs. So cybersecurity partner programs, there are actually 20 different ways of operating them, and we have seen all 20. We can tell you within your framework what is the thing that will work for you. Just the fact that we have put these 3 tools in our menu should tell you, oh, this is what other people are doing. Don't try to build everything yourself. Even though you can, what you should try to do is you should build a bunch of things. I'd never say just buy, but always sort of be looking at what are the tools that people are using so that you can sort of get ideas from there. Even if you don't scale out those tools, I always tell people that we give people a 1 month pilot just to say, if you get nothing else out of this, you will understand what other people are doing. How are they approaching their knowledge transfer? And if you choose to build it, you choose to build it. Obviously we back ourselves to build it better, faster, and more scalably. But hey, if you think you can build it, go for it.
It's the classic make versus buy scenario. And
That's right. Yeah.
I talk with a lot of people that think, well, I can just use Claude Code and do that, but they don't really have the capabilities or the experience to do that and produce a tool that is sustainable, resilient, and something that can be used longer term. It's kind of patchwork.
I agree. That's one thing. Let's say, but I would argue there is also one more which is sort of somewhat deeper. Let us say that you've got this team of geniuses who can build anything they want to build. Sure, you built it. But again, you didn't get into system 2 because all this team of geniuses, everybody's going to build their own thing. Your organization will only get productive when everybody shares the same dashboard. If I can build a dashboard and you can build a dashboard, we don't have 2 dashboards. We actually have organizational chaos because I think something is true, you think something is true, and we are not both speaking the same language. We are not getting together and saying, this is the problem, we both need to solve this. It goes back to my earlier point. If your engineering team is doing something for something and your QA team is doing something and they're both doing a perfect job, you'll still have chaos if they don't all both look at the same dashboard and say, this is my list of bugs, this is what I want you to do, this is the priority. So that is, it is important, I think, to build what you can and buy what you must. And what you must buy is organizational cohesion. If people need to be looking at the same dashboard. So if you're going to build something, definitely make sure that you're mandating at some point everybody using at least the same metrics, even if they have different ways of getting it.
That is a great insight. One source of truth. To your point, without it, it's internal chaos.
Yes. And everybody's frustrated, right? Everybody's like, look at this amazing dashboard that I built. Why is nobody using it? Well, because they're looking at their own dashboard.
Hey, Badri, thanks for sitting in today and giving us a behind-the-scenes look into HitWit AI. I'd like to thank those watching or listening. Until next time, I'm Troy Mann with Ascent Integration Partners. Remember, the pace of change in the market is getting faster every day. Adapting to change is not a requirement, but neither is survival. Rise above with Ascend. Take care.